Well, hello, Young and the Restless Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Wednesday, November the 1st, 2023, and Thursday, November the 2nd, 2023. Both of those days. Okay, one thing that hit me or hit us like a ton of bricks. The actress Cameron Grimes had a scene where she's talking to Kyle toting the pregnancy purse. She and Lily are both sharing that huge black bag. I did not know she's pregnant in real life, but boy, is she. Boy, is she. So the beautiful thing is, she's reoccurring. By the next time we see her, she may have had that baby because she looks pretty far along. And they're slowing down really the whole the use of Sharon and Nick's company, so which is what she works for now. So we don't need to see her, except they do still have to deal with the baby storyline, the cochlear implant they're getting ready to do. And she was talking to Kyle about that. And Kyle saying he has some irons in the fire, but he wouldn't tell her anything. Of course he's not gonna tell her anything. He can't tell anybody anything about that plan, right? That shyster, which he's not really gonna do. I think he's getting intel. Chelsea is back from maternity leave. She is back, and I'm telling you, I don't know what these women in soaps, and these are older women having babies. It's harder to bounce your body to bounce back in your mid 30s. Oh my goodness, she looks so good. Wow. Another one that always looks really good after she has a baby is the one who plays Steffi on The Bold and the Beautiful. Boy, does she bounce back well. Wow. Now let's see how Lily bounces back. Because Lily's always been very thin, very petite, the whole 9 yards. But Chelsea looked good. And Billy, that actually looked like a look of genuine happiness on his face to see his co-star. Because Billy's been floundering with nobody. He's been going through a lot with the family with nobody to talk to about it. Now he has his Chelsea back, and they talked about Connor. Connor's doing well, loving the school, thriving. It's a dorm school, and he was in the dorms on the weekends, and I guess he would come home. Come to not home, to whatever Chelsea's mother's name is, not that it's that important. Anita. I guess on the weekends, because Chelsea said I can only see him on the weekends. Or not could. That's all she could, because he's at school and he's in sports. So he had practice and then games on the weekend. She goes, he is so busy. And so finally, I guess he moved permanently to the dorms to where he's even staying there on the weekends. And he told Chelsea that, look, it's okay with him if she goes back to Genoa City to work. He says, you don't have to work remotely here, Mom. I'm happy. And she could see it. She sees he's happy. She sees he's thriving. So she says, I still plan on going back there on the weekends. I'm thinking, do you really? Do you really? Because you just said you didn't get to see him. So I doubt you're going to really go back on the weekends. He'll be back for Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's when he'll be back. And then we'll see him next summer. And that's even if they show it. What they're going to do is Connor is going to go to Thanksgiving at a friend's. He's going to crash their dinner. That's what they're going to do. Right. So then we have, they sit down and talk, and then they decide to go upstairs. And that's when I was like, oh my goodness, she bounced back well, really well. Proud of you, girl. So now we have Victor. And see, Nikki was nowhere around with all this nonsense going on. Victoria and Nick confront him. And he sits there straight faced. I don't know what you're talking about. What conversation did I have with you last night, Nicholas? Why would you say something like that? And he goes, Dad, you know darn well that you confided in me It's a test. You feel you're testing, somebody's going to betray you. You all are trying to put things in my head. And Victoria's looking at Victor and looking at Nick, and Nick is thinking, what, huh? See, and no Nikki, because Nikki wouldn't co-sign on none of that, right? So Nate comes in and he goes, oh, good, Nate, you're here. And he goes, take me out of here. And Nate looks at him and says, yes, sir. Right? So then they show Nate at the park with Victor. And Victor, what what is this place? Why did you bring me here? And he goes, this is Chancellor Park, Victor, and you asked me to bring you here. Oh, oh, okay. So he sits down. Jesus, this is all so confusing to me. This really is. I just, okay. They're after me. They're trying to say that I can't handle this company, that my mind is not right. You're the only one I could trust. Did you get in touch with any of those doctors? Did they get back to you? And he goes, I'm waiting to set up, the appointments. Remember, no one can find out. And if this has to be between me and you, because I only trust you. And he goes, you could trust Victoria too. He's still trying to lobby for Victoria. And he goes, no, I can't trust Victoria. All of my kids would try to take advantage of this situation because I taught them to be ruthless. Ruthless. And I know I would take advantage of the situation. And I thought, see, now, is that something you proud of, man? You proud of that, right? So Victoria and Nicholas go to go to the GCAC. Now Adam and Sally, they slept in because they were up all night doing the reconnecting. And he says, do you want to talk about what this means or what it doesn't mean? He goes, because I can understand if you say this does not mean what I'm hoping it means. And she goes, Adam, I don't know what it means. I would just like to take some time to sit with it. And he goes, do you regret what we did all night over and over again? And she goes, I don't regret it at all. And he smiles and he's like, good, because I don't regret it either. He says, but I have to get to work because Nate, he saw all these messages from Nate saying, do you plan on showing up to your job today? So he goes downstairs and he runs into Victoria and Nick. And Nick looks up the stairs and he goes, what were you in Sally's room bothering her? And Adam should have looked at him and said, are you losing your memory like our father? Because doggone well, my hotel room is upstairs. What do you mean? What, you're just assuming that's where I came from when my room is upstairs. And this doggone 10 floor, really it's only 8, I think. 10 floor GCAC has no elevator. So we all got to take these stairs, Nick. Right? And so he kind of looks back up the stairs and he kind of smiles to himself, thinking, if you only knew what she and I did over and over and over again all night long, brother. So anyway, he wants to talk, he goes, are there any new developments? What's going on? With our father, anything new? And they go, Victoria says, yeah, he doesn't trust you. None of us trust you. So you know what? We are going to handle our father's situation and deal with it and you won't be involved. And Nick is just standing there. And I thought, see, this is why Adam needs to win. I really, really hope for once they will make Adam win. He has genuine concern, and they're trying to make it seem like Victoria said, you shouldn't even have the Newman name. Who are you to tell him that? Period. Victor and Hope were in love. Adam is his child. Okay? Now, I don't know. Should, well, Johnny doesn't. I was going to say, should Johnny carry the Newman name? He doesn't, because Victoria's kids all have um, Abbott's is their last name. So, okay, we're cool with that. But should Reed? Reed is a Holstrom, though. None of her kids she named after her family name. But anyway, I'm just saying, don't even play that. And we know how much Victor loves his son. But you all try to make him feel like less than bottom of your shoe when his mother, Hope, was a very genuine, honest woman. So anyway, I just shook my head and I thought, and so he goes, well, you know what? You all can do what you want to do, but I've already spoken to a psychiatrist regarding our father. And so she goes, you did? What did he say? And then we have Chloe. Chloe's talking to Summer. Not Summer. Yeah, Summer. And Summer's not happy. Marchetti sells her down. She hasn't seen the right look of the Summer line that she wants. And she's telling Chelsea, you all need to go back to the drawing board and start over. I mean, telling Chloe. And Chloe's like, we've done that already 3 times. These are a work in progress, but they're good. You need to trust us with Chelsea and I. We have years of experience in the fashion business, and we know what the customer wants. And so what Summer said is, Marchetti has a unique line. Marchetti, and I'm not seeing anything that would go along with the Marchetti brand. Well, I just think you're too picky. I think you need to open up. And my whole thing is, let me tell you something. Chloe, because Chloe could be very opinionated on what you need to do and what she thinks. But Summer held her ground and she says, I'm the CEO. And I've been working for Marchetti for years, and I know what we want. And I haven't seen it yet. And so she goes, well, perhaps maybe it's because, you're feeling the pressure, because now you're the CEO and you're just feeling pressure. I duly noted, I will take note about sales. And I'm thinking, no, Chloe, you should have already been looking at sales because you've been in the fashion business for how many years? How do you overlook sales are way down? That means something, we're missing something, right? So finally, Summer is like, you know what? We're clearly not getting anywhere. And Chloe's like, well, that's because you're not listening. She goes, we're not getting anywhere. And until Chelsea can make the meeting, then I'll talk. So she goes, so you let Chelsea know when she's here that she and I can meet. And Chloe just kind of like, huh? I'm thinking, yeah, chick, you're liaison. When the person you work for shows up, you don't even need to be in the meeting, Chloe. So you're going to learn how to curb your opinion and what you say to people, Chloe, right? So Chelsea shows up because, she and Billy finally did their afternoon twist and both of them are very happy. And she shows up and Chloe is like, oh my God, you look fabulous. And she goes, thank God you're here. And Chloe goes, well, where's Summer? She goes, she left. She said that the meeting wasn't being productive. And when you get here, she'll meet with you. And she goes, you need to save this. This is a disaster. And so Chelsea just looks like, uh-oh. And come on, Chelsea's going to end up coming in, making it right, showing this new design or something she's been having in her head that she hadn't. So something's going to happen. Because realistically, remember, not last year, but the year before, when Chelsea quit working with Lauren, Chelsea gave Lauren a designer to finish Fitmore's line, and Lauren loved him. So look, they can work this out and get it right. And that was just, scenes that didn't really mean nothing about nothing. But anyway, I'm happy Chelsea's back because this gives Billy somebody. He was a third wheel, and now I'm happy to see him have somebody. And I'm happy Adam has Sally. I have always liked Adam and Sally together more than Nick and Sally. Nick could go back to Sharon for all I care, you know. Now, let's get back to Victor before we go to comment corner. Victor is laying it in thick on Nate. We can already see who Victor's target is, and his target is definitely Nate Hastings. Definitely. And I think he's going to put Nate in a position to where Victor is going to say, I'm going to sign my company over to you in the event that I'm incapacitated, but you can't tell anybody, right? So something, and he's going to test Nate's loyalty to see what Nate is going to do in that situation. So anyway, that's going to be interesting. Now let's go on to Thursday, 11/2. Thursday was Lauralee Bell's 40-year anniversary on The Young and the Restless. 40 years. So they had her run into Phyllis at the park first, because realistically, through the span of 40 years, it's been one main adversary, and that's Phyllis. And so we had a lot of flashback scenes, but while they were in the park, Phyllis said hello to her, and she goes something about it's a nice day or something. And Christine looks at her and says, do you want something? And she goes, no, I'm just enjoying the day out here. And she goes, and I'm just saying hello to you. And she's like, well, look, we ain't friends like that. And so she says, I did want to say I'm sorry about your marriage. And she looked at her, she said, what? I'm sorry about you and Paul not working out. Daniel told me. And she goes, that's what she goes, we are not friends, and we will not be discussing our personal life. And Phyllis says, well, I hear, no, Christine says, I hear you've been spending a lot of time with Daniel. No, because she tells Christine, well, now that you and Paul aren't together, I'm just, just as friend, I'm friends with Danny. Don't chase after him. And she goes, that's your MO, Phyllis. That's your MO, chasing after. I don't chase after men. And so she goes, and I've heard that you have been spending time with Daniel. You need to listen to your own words to me, Phyllis. And she goes, and you need to focus on getting your own miserable life back in order. And she walks away from Phyllis. And then Lauren comes up, and Phyllis is like, no matter how hard I try, she will never see me more than blah, blah, blah. And Lauren just looked at her and said, honey, will you ever see her more than an adversary, like me more than an adversary? She goes, do you see her Will you ever see her anything other than an adversary? And Phyllis just looked at Lauren. Because, see, come on, Phyllis, it goes both ways. And then they had, scenes of their back and forth because she brought up, yeah, well, you something such with my son, or Daniel told me. She goes, Daniel and I are very close. I am Daniel's godmother. And then they flashback scene of Phyllis uh, lashing out at Christine because Christine made sure she lost custody of Daniel to Danny. And Christine told her the real deal about, you and your deceitfulness. You were the cause of losing your own son. And oh, Phyllis is like, you're gonna feel the pain that I feel. And she was saying, I guess she had told Daniel something about the truth or whatever happened. Because Danny raised Daniel for many, many years away from Phyllis, away from Genoa City. Phyllis didn't even know where Daniel was a lot of the time. I could remember because, Christine was always, we got 40 years on The Young and the Restless, but not 40 years as a main character, not 40 years as Nikki Newman, 40 years, your Victor Newman's. Not, she would take long, long breaks from The Young and the Restless, right? Some of them breaks is she and Paul, because she the scene with her and Paul wanted a baby, and she just wasn't time. She couldn't find the time. She was getting ready to go on start this fabulous law practice with Michael Baldwin. And I just didn't clip a scene with her and Michael. But and that was gonna take her away from him for 2 years. And he's like, what happened to us? You said you wanted to start a family. And she goes, well, that's why I came here to talk to you. I'm not ready. When I thought I was pregnant, Paul, because I guess she had a pregnancy scare, and I found out I wasn't, I was relieved. That's not how someone who really wants children should feel, Paul. I'm not ready. And oh, he blew up. And she's like, just give me 2 years. He said, you know what, Christine? It's always going to be something. Something else is going to come up. Right? But look, I guess in that 2 years, because she was pregnant by Paul, and that's when Phyllis ran them both over with the car. Come on, Christine lost her baby. But then they had another scene later, and Phyllis was in the office. So this is probably when she's probably waiting on Michael because it was the law office, and Christine was at her desk. She's probably waiting on Michael, looking good too. Michelle Stafford, over the years, she's had various looks, from short hair to long hair. In that scene with the long, pretty red hair, she looked like a vixen, but she was married to Jack because Christine is saying, you know, your relationship with Jack must be in trouble. And he's the only decent man that you were ever able to, slam your claws into, right? And so Phyllis gets up and she's in Christine's face and she's saying whatever she's saying to Christine. And so Christine gets up, and as she's walking out the office, she goes, you know what, Phyllis? Bite me. So Phyllis is looking at her, but that the biggest rivalries over the years was definitely with her and Phyllis. So therefore, when she was prosecuting Phyllis for faking her own death and all of that, she was taking it personal because it's been very personal, her relationship with Phyllis. So I'm happy they gave that the time that it deserved. And then they went to her other relationships. She leaves the park, goes into Crimson. Esther's there to give her some coffee. And she goes, you look like you could need to talk to someone. And she goes, just having a rough morning. And she goes, you hear this voice. Well, do you need to talk to a friend? And she turns around and it's Nina. And then they do a bunch of little flashbacks, of they were trying to refine Nina. Now, see, I don't know about Nina's parents. I mean, I know she didn't have money. So she was definitely a wrong track person. wrong side of the tracks, which is one reason Jill didn't want her with her son, uh, Philip. Now, Jill should talk, manicurist. From what side of what track? And you sleep with Catherine's husband. And you, I mean, you see, but Jill was definitely against Nina. So they're trying to refine Nina as a young teen girl, teach her how to sip her tea and teach her how to sit. She's sitting and Christine's like, close your legs. So she oops puts her legs together and Danny's there trying to help too. And then I guess there was a period to where Nina got real sick and almost died, and Christina was there for her, and she wanted Christine to raise little Philip um, if she did not make it, because she did not want Jill to raise her son. She did not, and she didn't want her son just to go to Philip, right? So they were just talking about, over the years, you have been my friend. We have been friends throughout all of this. And Lauren even popped in after she left because Phyllis and Lauren went to the jazz lounge and Danny and Daniel were talking. And Lauren ended up, they were just talking, blah, blah, blah. And Lauren ends up saying, I have got to go, got to get to a meeting. And Daniel and Phyllis were talking to Danny for a few. And Daniel said, you know what, Mom? I have a design meeting that I need to get to. Would you like to tag along? And she said, really? He goes, yeah, I would like your input. She goes, I would love to tag along. Oh, she is so happy, right? And so she goes over to Danny because Danny stands up as they're getting ready to leave. And she goes, hey, she didn't do that. She goes, would you like to have dinner with me tonight? And he's looking down at her and he catches Christine coming down the stairs. And he goes, you know what? We'll talk about that. We'll connect later and talk about it. And Phyllis turns and sees Christine. And Christine looks at Phyllis. And Phyllis is kind of looking. And Daniel is like, come on, Mom. We've got the meeting to get to. And she's like, oh, okay. And he's kind of like, come on, let's go. We ain't even going to stop. Look, cause no mess. So now Christine is talking to Daniel. And we had some scenes, the scenes they showed of her and Danny to Danny, her and Danny when she was a little teen girl and he was just getting noticed as a rock star, and he's asking, did she see herself with the Romalati and yada yada yada, that those scenes were played when she was talking to Nina, and Danny was thinking of scenes too as well with Christine. And then they showed the scene when after she had found out that Phyllis was pregnant, that he slept with her, and he don't even remember it because she drugged him and he didn't sleep with her, but that didn't come out for years. So they're just thinking. And so he says, you know what? Come on over here. I want to show you something. So he sits her down at the piano and he starts playing this song that he's working on, that he was playing with Phyllis sitting at the piano too. He's playing both of them ends against the middle right now. He really is. But what he needs to know and understand, yes, you're encouraging Phyllis, but you also know what a ticking time bomb Phyllis is. Don't encourage her too much. Make it clear you are, because she said, you don't want the bug, do you know? Let her know. And he goes, yeah, she's got a place in my heart, just like you, see? But don't make her feel she's on equal ground, because then it's a competition. And Phyllis gets deadly at competition time, right? So it was just a nice remembrance of her past years on The Young and the Restless. It was a complete, not moving a storyline episode forward, but recognizing a actress for all of her hard work. So good for her. Congratulations. Now let's go to Comment Corner. Comment Corner, a couple comments. LaShunta says, Tucker lies for nothing. Devon needs to tell somebody. Kyle gave Audra ammunition on Billy. Why do Kyle think he's entitled? John Abbott had 4 kids, Tracy, Ashley, Jack and Billy, not Kyle. Oh, it burns me up. That is so true. Jack is so gullible. He told Tracy Kyle was arrogant and needed to work from the bottom. But because Diane is in his ear, Ashley warned Billy about Diane. Remember, Jack lost Jabot to Victor, and Victor took it over. Tucker is volatile, but Kyle was CEO at Newman Media. Remember, he worked with Victor against Jack. Yeah, years ago he did. Sheba says, "Who is Heather's mom?" I I quit watching for several years. I watched when Lily, Devon, and Daniel were born. Well, Devon came to them as a teenager, and he got adopted. Let's see. I think Victor is the one who ran into Devon first and introduced Devon to Neil at the youth center. There was a youth center, and Victor would go there and box. Um, and says Devon. Wait. I don't remember anyone having Heather. She should be about their age. Well, I wasn't watching the show then, but I'm almost sure it was April Stevens, right? I think April was Heather's mother, but I don't know anything about April. So I could be wrong. So, daily recap, folks. Who was Heather Stevens's mother? But that's it. Thank you. Thank you for comments and comment corners. I will be back tomorrow for Friday's episode of The Young and the Restless.